past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. Here it comes. He struck him out, and Morris has a no-hitter.
There's a drive to left. That one is long gone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Roar Live Eyes on the Tigers edition. So much to talk about. This is our second show here in our last one for the spring training.
Yeah, last one.
Till we get the regular season rolling on, coming up on the 27th.
Week from today.
Yeah, a week from today.
Yeah.
In L.A. against the Dodgers, who have been kind of the team to beat. I don't know about. I mean,
What they got? 3-game series with them?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, one out of three.
Yeah.
She got Scooble first, so.
Yeah. Well, and maybe Flaherty knows something we don't. Hey, if Flaherty could pull out to get 2 out of the 3, that would be would be a good thing.
Dodgers are something else, though. Wow.
Tigers. I mean, when you're looking at how they've been playing this spring, they've played very well. I know you have a laundry list of stuff you want to talk about. Where do you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't put any emphasis on spring.
Right.
None at all.
Okay.
None at all. None at all. But let's start with Gibson.
Okay.
Tigers let Kurt go.
Yeah.
As far as the broadcasting. So who's the staff now? Like, what's the one kid's name? Is it Benny?
Jason Benetti.
Benetti.
I think
okay.
he's the main play-by-play
He's
guy.
the main play-by-play
And
guy.
I think they're gonna, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're gonna it's gonna be like a roving chair. But it was kind of last year though, because I think Gibson only did 35 games.
Okay. Well, yeah. The reason why I mention this and bring him up is like, Gibby obviously is a part of the organization for a very long time. I think,
and he's going to stay in the organization. Yeah.
But there were a couple of folks that were upset about this. One being Matt Shepard.
Well,
did you hear? They said that they forced him out. The Tigers forced him out of that role.
Gibson, from what I've read and from what I've heard, listening to some other shows, I mean, he's very gracious. He's going to stay in the Tigers organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did hear that.
Whether they forced him out, that's something that I don't know. Obviously, Matt Shepard, he was kind of forced out after the season before, not last season, but the season before when they got Jason Benetti in.
Yeah.
So he might have some kind of angst, but
could be.
Kirk Gibson's a great guy. Great ambassador for the game, especially for the Detroit Tigers. Mm-hmm. Great ambassador for people with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Charlie Kraft, who will be on the show, on the Cohen Bro Opinion Show a little later on. Yeah. He was telling me that, he's got a 6,000 square foot gym or something like that, and people from that have Parkinson's can go there for free.
He's got a foundation, or
yeah. So that's that. I love Gibby. Gibby's a
So let's stay on Gibby. What Gibby's career? What as a player? What would you say about Kirk Gibson? What do you think? How good of a player to you was Kirk Gibson?
I think Kirk Gibson to me was a spark plug. Every team needs that kind of gritty, rah-rah, I mean, he was fast. He was lightning fast. Obviously he wasn't a perennial all-star like Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker and Lance Parrish, or even Jack Morris for that matter. But he was a guy that, he's known for magical home runs, 84, and then 87 or 88 for the Dodgers?
88.
88 for the Dodgers. So, I mean, he's always going to be known for some big clutch home runs, clutch hits. Came out with the Dodgers in that game and they didn't think he was going to play.
Right.
Something. So he's a gritty guy. I love Kirk Gibson. He's always going to be a hometown favorite. I don't think you could say really a bad word about him.
Yeah.
He was kind of the wild child, so to speak.
Yeah.
Him and Dave Rozema back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
other than that,
Dave.
they've kept their nose clean.
Yeah.
And they,
Love
Rozema's
Rozema.
still around today.
Yeah.
With the Tigers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Gibson, he was a good football player too, right?
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Yep.
Tight end.
Yes.
That's kind of when I started getting into college football. But I thought Gibby was I thought Gibby was one of those guys that you had to have him on the team. You know what I mean? Like he was the
Spark plug.
yeah, he was
basically.
like the Draymond Green. You know what I mean?
Okay, I
Like,
see what you're
you know what I'm
saying,
saying?
yeah.
And he was never scared of the moment.
No.
He was a tough guy, rah guy. I don't think he was a great player. I thought he was a C. I thought he was an average player. He was an average outfielder. I loved it. He would steal bases. I think on that roster, that 84 team, I think him and Lou were like the only one, and Chet, that would actually steal bases. And I think Gibby even went more than Lou. But yeah, I thought Gibson was just really, really solid and wasn't afraid of the moment. The character, a leader, you know what I mean? Like you say, it wasn't like Lou, Tram, and Jack
Sure.
and Lance, but hard to say if they win without him. He was important to that team. Like, he was a big part of that team. He wasn't, like I said, he wasn't afraid of the moment. The obvious, the Sparky thing in '84. He's got 4. He don't walk you. He was up against good. Everybody was just. That was one of the biggest moments in baseball to me.
Sure, absolutely.
And Gibson stood up, and that was it. So shout out to Kirk. I just wanted to talk about him because he was forced out. They said, I don't know. You never know what goes on. Maybe Gibson was tired of it, doing it. I don't know. I think he was doing it for 14. Was he with the organization for 15, 16 years?
Something like
So,
that,
yeah.
And it could have been, maybe, I don't know if he was forced out. I mean, I would hate to
you
say
never
that.
know. Yeah. Why?
He
Yeah.
could have stepped away. Maybe it was too much with the Parkinson's that he had to be on air and in the broadcast. Because
Yeah.
I know that disease can affect your speech.
Yes,
and
yes.
having to do that.
Yes.
So it might have been one of those deals. We
Yeah.
don't know. But I wish Kirk Gibson all the
All the
best
best,
of luck,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm glad he's still around
Yeah.
with the Tigers organization.
Yeah.
But speaking of outfielders, the Tigers seem to have a problem still. We don't know who's going to. I watched some spring training games this week, and I seen.
I'm worried.
I think it was Creedler in center,
Lord, I'm worried.
and then I'm hearing Wenzel Perez might end up in that center field spot until Meadows gets back. And then they really don't have a right fielder.
Well-
I mean, they're throwing Torkelson out and left. They're throwing Kerry Carpenter out and right.
Well, see, I heard different. I heard Green is going to do the center field duties.
Well, looking at from what I'm seeing here,
Okay.
on the depth chart, they still have Riley Green as the number 1 left fielder.
Okay.
With Justin Henry Malloy as his backup.
I said last week he's a better corner than center. Go ahead.
They show Wenzel Perez as the center fielder with Vierling and Creedler. And then listing in right field, they have Kerry Carpenter as the top guy, Zach McKinstry, Justin Henry Malloy. Does Kerry Carpenter kind of remind you of Kirk Gibson a little bit? Home run kind of a guy, lefty.
Not a high
Mr.
average.
Exciting.
Not a high. Yep. Yeah, spark plug type
Yeah.
deal. Yeah. Not yeah.
The Kerry Bonds.
Yeah.
Everybody's calling him Kerry Bonds last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were even talking about him going to third, right? Playing a little bit of third or no? Or was that Vierling?
No, that was
That's
Vierling.
Vierling. Okay, Vierling.
And
Okay.
so right now, the number one designated hitter they show in the depth chart, they show as Riley Green, Torkelson, and Colt Keith, according to MLB.com. And, of course, that could change. Maybe that's just for the spring training, but I think we're going to see a lot of plug and play this year. Like, I think you're going to see a lot of different positions, a lot of different people playing a lot of different positions, which in a way isn't bad with the way A.J. Hinch is able to manage, because he showed that he could do that last year in having to put different people in because of injuries and whatnot, especially with the pitching staff.
Yeah.
The big question mark right now is third base.
Yeah.
I had heard that they're going to do a platoon kind of a deal with McKinstry and Ibanez, but McKinstry was their starting third baseman in the playoffs.
And they said
McKinstry's McKinstry is the probably the guy that'll go up against righties, and Ibanez will be the guy that goes up against lefties.
Now they're left-handed heavy, right? Tigers are.
In regards to batting,
yeah.
Looking here, the only left-handers they have.
Are they left-handed? No.
Colt Keith is a lefty.
Switches. Bias switches.
McKinstry's a lefty, and Trey Sweeney's a lefty.
Sweeney's a lefty.
So
yeah.
they do have a little more man.
Riley Green's a lefty.
Yeah. And Wenzel Perez is a switch hitter. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
Was last year, do the Tigers have good players, or was last year just a lightning in a bottle? I mean, that's not going to happen again. So are those players, the players that we mentioned, the team that they have, the roster they have, do you think that they're really good players?
Well, I think pitching is what got them to where they had to be.
Because they won a lot of games at the end there. They just took off.
Yeah, they went from we thought they were going to be a team that would maybe be the bottom of the pile.
Well, they made me eat crow. But the reason why I asked it is because I just don't think they have enough stars. I don't. What we do know is Scooble and Torres and Rogers is going to catch Scooble. We know that. And Riley Green is going to be somewhere in the outfield. That's it. Like, I'm in any sport, you have to have a superstar. They got one in Scooble, but they need superstar bats. And I just don't see them. It's like I was really looking like at the rock. I'm like, can they do that? Like,
well, in this modern day game, with so many teams making the playoffs with these wild cards,
true.
Do you even need? I think a lot of these, to appease the fans, as long as they get to a playoff game, I think look how this town went crazy when the Tigers went to the playoffs last year. Of course, it had been a long time since they've been.
Right. They needed that. Right.
I almost wonder if you don't ever see the overemphasis, so to speak, of, well, they haven't won any World Series. You never hear that anymore.
No.
Whereas
you only hear
in football,
Super Bowl.
They never won a Super Bowl.
Right.
It's always the champion. You don't really hear that with Major League Baseball teams.
No.
Well, the Yankees, they haven't won in a while, or the Indians haven't won. You don't hear it. It's kind of weird, don't you think?
Well, I think certain teams you do. You mentioned the Yankees, the Cardinals.
I'm assuming the Dodgers would be on that list.
If they don't win it, like the Yankees haven't won since 2009.
I think it's more of how much attendance they can bring in.
Yeah.
What they can sell.
Yeah.
Merch wise.
Yeah. I just don't see and like I said, Hinch is one of my favorites. But this, is going to be very. You don't know who's going to lead off. You don't know who's the number 4 hitter.
Do you think that might play into Hinch's plan to be a little, with how you had the chaos pitching staff last year, maybe not knowing what you're up against each and every day.
But it was surprise. It was surprise last year.
Yeah.
So now here come the same guys trotting back out there. You know, are they good enough to, you know, get back to? Because people are going to now. People will still expect them to win the Central and make it to playoffs because what they did last year.
Sure.
And you re-up with your ace. So I'm just worried about this lineup. Like I don't. And then your guy Jace, he was supposed to be. He's gone.
Yeah, he had a rough spring.
He had a rough spring.
But he's a young kid, though. Did he have even? He had just a taste of the major leagues last year, towards the end of the season. I'm not ready to rule him out.
I'm not going to rule him out because Hinch did come back and say, he said, and again, I don't spring training, but he said the kid he's a good kid. He just couldn't get it going to fit this club at the time. But they're really high on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see him as the summer progresses.
You think so?
Yeah,
You think so?
eventually.
Okay.
With injuries and stuff. I mean, right now they have no other choice.
They have no other choice. They have no other choice, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the slow start again because I don't think you come back out of it.
But you know what, though?
Because Veerling, we don't know how long he's out, right?
No, in Meadows either. But Meadows was hurt a lot last year too,
Yeah,
though.
that's a problem with
Well,
him.
and then you got to worry about. We talked about
That's a
Kerry
problem.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
He was out a lot last year with a back injury.
Yeah.
So is he going to be durable enough this year to handle that workload in
Yeah.
right field?
Yeah.
I think that's really kind of why they wanted him more as a designated
Yeah,
hitter.
they cannot afford any more injuries.
No.
They can't afford it. Like, see, this is the problem. This is the thing to me. Like I said, they have top 5 manager in baseball, but when you don't have, so when Torres is your best player, that's kind of a problem. You know what I mean? Like, who do you think? Like when Gleyber.
But do you think the game's changed so much now that they play more to the analytics?
It does.
And it worked for him last year.
It did. It did work for him last year. But when you see, you see Ohtani just went crazy this past, and even the I keep saying start. Even the Yankees, Torres could hide because you had Soto and Judge. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Tigers don't have any of that. Like, they have no pop. They don't have a 300 hitter.
I think they're hoping Torkelson can give them 30 this year. I really want to see him succeed. I know. We talk about it.
Well,
quite
this
a
is
bit.
it. Like you said, we talked about last week.
This is definitely the season that
I would like to see him go to the outfield. Let's see what he can do out there.
Right.
Because they need another outfielder.
Right.
They need another corner outfielder. And he is a talent because he has third base in his back pocket. And if you play third base, you can go to left field. So they said in the paper the other day, I was reading on the internet, that the guys that are expected to hit, to carry the team, they have to do it, or else it's going to be a long season. So that's Green, Meadows, Baez. If he ever comes out of his shell or whatever he's going to do, those are the guys. Like I said, what we do know is Scooble's going to win. He's going to compete for a Cy Young again, and Rogers is going to catch him, and Torres is going to play second, and Green is going to float around the outfield. Everything else, I want to see how it works out and if Hinch can pull off the magic again. But the expectation now is the playoffs because they went last year. People are going to start packing those seats this year. They're going to be out early this year because the Tigers are on fire right now.
Well,
they left us with a little, a good taste in our mouth.
Well, I don't see why they shouldn't have a decent shot at getting into the wild card. I mean, they're still going to have to overcome Cleveland for that. I think Cleveland's the
front runner.
The front runner.
Yeah.
But that AL Central is so volatile. One year,
you never know
one
what you're
year,
gonna get.
you don't. I mean, when looking at the AL East, I'm sure the Orioles will be in there. The Red Sox should be in the hunt. We don't know what we're going to get with the Yankees now with Garrett Cole being out.
I think with the kid Max Fried, I think they hold serve.
Okay.
Because you bring in Bellinger. Bellinger's come over to hold down center field. Now Judge can go to right field. Do they win the World Series? No. I already know the Dodgers are going to win that. But they will hold. Yankees will hold serve.
You know, what are you going to get with Toronto?
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So, and then you got the West. But listen to this though. So, do you think who was the guy? Was it Carrera? In hindsight, do you think they should have got him or Baez now? What would you have done?
I'm glad I'm kind of glad we didn't get Carrera because he really
He's always
to me,
hurt, too.
he's always hurt. He really hasn't. He really didn't pan out with the Twins. I mean, he's been up and down.
But which pan out do you want? Baez has done nothing.
That's true.
I mean, nothing.
Well, that's what we get for these big free agents that are kind of on the downhill of their career, and everybody's shelling out these $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, and they want 6 years. I'm glad that they didn't get Bregman and lock into that. I just feel like, you know,
If you can get a young big free agent, do it. But
Well-
you can't Victor Martinez it. You can't Cabrera it. You know what I mean? Like you can't 30-year it.
Well, I think now with as many slots that are open for playoffs, that the easier shot to get in.
So
I think honestly that I think they hold the course and build through the draft. I mean, I can't see the Tigers winning a World Series in the next year or two unless they get those stars that you're talking about. But
Yeah.
do they really want to go out and pay for a big name player? The Tigers really haven't done that, so to speak, other than with Cabrera. But
That's
he was already with us when
that's
they
never-
signed him with the extension.
Yeah, that's never really been their thing.
No, at
It's
all.
never really been their thing. So I don't think we have to worry about that. I just think, like, when it's time to get, if someone is in their prime, Bregman, he was past his prime. So that's a good call.
And
And
Charlie,
he's one
me
to
and
leave
Charlie were talking earlier today about Bregman, and I think when it boils down to it, do you want to hit in Fenway or do you want to hit in Comerica?
Fenway.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Fenway.
Because they were saying his stat numbers were kind of down anyway.
Yeah, they were. They were.
You know,
And he wasn't
in
going to hit a lot of
Houston.
home runs
Right.
in Comerica. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. But yeah, and plus, you can tell he didn't want to come here anyway because Hinch is his guy,
Right.
and he didn't even want to pair up with him. So that's fine. But they don't really go and get and spend big money.
I mean, because
very
really, when you
rare.
think about it, the last one that they went out and got was a bust in Zimmerman, the pitcher.
Oh my goodness.
That was just horrible.
Oh Lord.
Especially when a year or so before you let Scherzer walk.
Oh Lord.
But that's here nor there.
Yeah, there's no there. So,
AL West. I mean, who do you see anybody? I don't. You think the Astros are the favorite to win it?
who else is there?
I think it's a coin toss.
California stinks.
The Mariners, they didn't really impress me much. They were kind of one of those.
They're kind of like the Ray. I don't know what the
You never know what they're doing. Texas, you don't know what they're doing.
No.
So
It's probably the Astros to lose. You know, they
Possibly.
have the most firepower in that division. Like, California. I mean, is Trout? Is he retired? Like, I don't. That. Yeah, they probably will come out of it again. So how's the player? So it's each division winner, right?
each division,
So
to make the playoffs?
Yeah. So each division winner, obviously,
Yes.
and then
I
there's
think there's two.
two wild cards.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Tigers got their work cut out for them, man. I'm going to tell you. I was just thinking about it from the past week, and I'm like, who's going to set the tone? Who's going to hit fourth? Riley Green is a 6-hitter at best. If he's batting third, like I said, if Torres is your best player, that's kind of that's not that great. And I like Torres. He's solid. He's C plus. He's not the greatest defender. He's solid defender. He made a lot of errors last year, but and he, like I said, he can run into one, but he's definitely an upgrade.
Sure.
And then they said also Keith has to hit too. He's got to come around with his bat. So everybody is going to be hard.
And we're also getting a second year. I've always said the same thing. A lot of these players struggle in year two that had really successful rookie seasons. Yeah. So it's kind of, what are we going to get with Keith?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he was kind of a big surprise in regards to them signing him to a long-term deal last year.
Yeah.
Because looking at, he kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not the greatest defender.
But I think, honestly, they have a lot of young kids in the minor leagues that I think are going to come around. This McConaughey, Max Clark. I think you're going to these kids are probably going to. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit well, and then the guy they just Lozano from that they picked up in that Flaherty trade, he hit well this spring. And like you said, you can't really say anything about that, but it would be interesting to see if they just maybe that's why they're holding tight and not going out and spending these big $1 million contracts and tying up the salary because they feel like maybe these kids are just a year or two away.
You would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope that they are.
What else you got?
Well, I did some research. What do you think out west? We already know the Dodgers are going to win, but so the National League East, National League West, and then the Central.
You want me to give you some predictions? Is that what you want?
What do you got? Well, like I said, I think we both know the Dodgers are going to win the World Series.
It's the Dodgers.
I guess
for the Dodgers to lose.
It's the Dodgers to lose, and then after that,
I mean, St. Louis always seems to stick around in the game.
The Cubs are a wash.
The Brewers seem to stick around in the game. You don't know what you don't know what you're going to get with Cincinnati with Francona now, the manager of that team.
Top five.
He turned around the Guardians.
Top
pretty
five.
much,
Top five. Top five. He is definitely one of the best managers in baseball. Soon as he went to Cleveland, I said they're going to win the division all the time. He can just flat out manage.
But I mean, looking at it, I really would like to see,
It's just kind of varsity against JV.
Braves always seem to be in it.
Yeah.
In the East. The Mets have the talent. Well, can they put it together? Who knows? Phillies.
Yeah. So Phillies are always lurking around. But I found out about my team, and I knew this watching the World Series last year. Soto, he could have stayed in New York. He did stay in New York. He could have stayed with the Yankees. My sources tell me the Judge Soto thing wasn't the greatest. And I saw it watching the World Series. And I'm going to tell you. And then, so Soto goes to the Mets, and he gets there, and Strawberry tells him, it was never going to be your team. Never. It's Judge's team. But Soto, in the World Series, he was getting walked, he was getting on base. Judge didn't help out at all. I'm a Judge guy. I love him. I think he's still the best player in baseball, even though people say Ohtani, he's a better outfielder than Ohtani. That's why I give Judge the edge. Flat out, Ohtani can hit, but steal and all that stuff. But Ohtani, he doesn't play the outfield. Judge is 6'7", he plays center field, and he wins Gold Gloves. But he didn't show up. And I think Soto had some issues with that.
Yeah,
because you can tell. Like, I'm watching this, right? And you can tell he's I think at one point he was almost kind of showing him up slightly. Like, he would get on first and start, yelling, the guy's struggling. So, but I'm not going to get into that. But long story short, I heard that, That was kind of the deal that he took because they were going to pay him, I think, a little less or something like that. Like when Cano left, it was like for $1 more, but Cano wanted the years. But
And now Cano's lighting up the Mexican League.
It's supposed to be him and Volpe. Cano's supposed to be the next captain.
Right.
He was supposed to be the next captain of the Yankees. But Pete Rose, rest in peace, Pete Rose, rest in peace. Did they say you're supposed to say? But Pete Rose, the great Pete Rose, had mentioned when he said we'll never hear from Cano again once he left the Yankees. He said that's it. And he went to Seattle and had a year or two, and then he went to the Mets, and
Right.
so that's how that goes. But yeah, I had to do some digging and.
Do you have anything else?
No, I don't have anything else, man. I'm just concerned. Like I said, I'm opening day. What's your opening day? You got opening day plans. I'm concerned with the opening day. Who are they running out there against the Dodgers next Thursday?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see. And I know it's early, but the one thing about baseball, there's 162 games left. People always say there's 162 games. Still not a lot of time.
No, I agree with you.
Every game counts.
Yeah.
Because you look back and you don't get in, and if we could have took that bag, if we could have stole that bag and got safe there. So that's the beauty of baseball. That's why I love it so much. So yeah, opening day next week. They got the Dodgers Thursday. I don't know if it's Thursday night or because I know the Yankees are on with them. I think they're on ESPN. I think.
So I'm mistaken. Then they head off to Seattle after that.
Yeah. Winnable series. Do you think what do you do for opening day? You do anything special or what do you got?
No, not really. Maybe for the home opening.
We'll be here. Yeah. The home. Yeah. So nothing.
No, I'll definitely watch the game
Yeah.
because the Dodgers are my National League team.
Okay.
So it'd be nice.
I didn't
to
know
see.
that.
You had to. Have known.
I didn't know.
All my Dodger gear.
I thought
my Sandy Koufax
I-
jersey.
But I thought San Diego too. I thought you liked San Diego. I like San Diego because Machado's over there.
Well, I love San Diego because that's where my son lives.
Right.
And so yeah, he
Shout
kind
out
of
to
got me. And I know those two are bitter rivals.
Yes.
San Diego and
Yes.
Dodgers. But
Yes.
So if I had to pick two National League teams,
It would be San Diego.
San Diego and the Dodgers. Yeah.
Okay. So out west. So no Oakland.
No, the Sacramento A's.
Are they that now?
I seen something on the other day. It said you know how they have the abbreviation for the city.
Yeah.
In the games, and it said SAC.
Has that started now?
I believe so.
They've been
It's
so
only
irrelevant.
it's only gonna be for the next couple of years till whenever the Vegas stadium is finally built.
Okay, so it is. They'll be.
So I don't believe they're going by the Oakland A's.
They'll be the Vegas Athletics.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Times
And
have
then
changed.
a few years later, they'll have an expansion, and Oakland will have another team.
Will Montreal get another team back?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Wow, the Oakland Vegas Raider. Okay. Wow. But yeah, I didn't. I thought I knew you liked the Dodgers. I didn't know they were your guys, but they're low. It looked really good the other day. Shohei went crazy again. But what's new?
Yeah.
We'll see. So yeah, I'm excited about opening day. We have a tradition where we go when the Tigers get back. I know you kind of try to get down to the ballpark.
Sure.
Walk around.
We're hoping to get down there for the show.
Yeah, hoping to get down there for the show for sure. That'll be
We
a
have
lot of
82
fun.
chances to do that.
That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, everybody, we want to thank you for tuning into the Roar Live tonight in this Eyes on the Tigers edition. This is the last spring training show we'll have, and then next week we will definitely have the opening day.
Yeah, we'll be getting into stuff like, base running and eras, and we'll be talking more in depth.
Yeah, we'll have the trivia back up. The show will look a lot like the Roar Live for the Lions.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot more to talk about even next week as
Yep.
we find out who makes that final. I think it's 20. Is it 26-man roster
26
now?
26-man roster.
26-man roster, and how they'll. It's going to be good.
How that bullpen's going to be. So we'll be dissecting more because the games will actually count.
Yeah.
Not that not that we don't want to dissect it, but the spring training thing is whole. It's just, you know.
And of course, we'll be taking live callers, just
Yes.
like the
Yes.
the Lions edition.
Yep.
So we would love for you guys to call in and chime in
you
with
said
your
Tiger trivia
opinions
too,
and
right?
comments. Yes.
Tiger trivia, of course.
Tiger
The Tigers, that's it. The Tigers are a storied franchise. Let's not act like they're not.
Right.
You know, I'm not a Tiger fan anymore. I'm a Hinch fan. But Tigers are storied, man. They're a storied franchise. They 84.
Yeah.
K-Line was what, 68?
Yes.
So it's not like, and they've been in the
They were
World
good in
Series.
72.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
They should have went back in what, 97? What, 90? Was 97 a good?
They should have won in 87.
Yeah, should have won 87. That's what it is. Yes, they should have won in 87. I was mad about that. And then that wonderful pitching staff they had in the 2000s just jacked the wreck off. They just jacked it off. They should have getting swept, Giants and Phillies. But yeah, we're going to be getting into a lot of stuff when the season starts next week. So stay with us, folks. Call in, Zoom in, questions, concerns. Tell us what's on your mind.
So we would like to thank you for tuning in tonight to the Roar Live. You can reach us at cobropodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions or maybe some topics you want to talk about here on the Roar Live Eyes on the Tiger edition.
Yes, sir.
We will have so much more for you throughout the season. And, of course, coming up in the next few minutes, we will have the Co and Bro Opinion Show, and so much to talk about there. Sassy Sarah will be on for reality and entertainment news. Charles T. Kraft sits in with us as we talk about this active shooter stuff that's going on today in Troy. And, of course, it's tax season, folks. Desmond Fulton from Fulton Court Services will be in to talk all things taxes
And refunds.
We'll be back next week, same time, same place.
Opening day.
For the Roar Live Eyes on the Tiger edition. We'll see you next time.